Hey there, I'm John. I live in Wallingford, Connecticut. I live with my dad, my stepmom, and my little brother. We live in a small apartment here. I have to share a room with my brother. It kind of sucks, but I'm used to it by now. We've been here for about 6 years. We used to live on the other side of Wallingford, but I like it better here, even though it's smaller. Before I started driving, I used to BMX a lot. That's what I did in my free time every day, but I haven't rode in about 2 years. Probably horrible now. Um, just recently I got into bass guitar. A lot of my friends play instruments, and I took a course on history of rock, so I kind of got into music then. Well, I was into it before, but I actually started to learn about music in an academic setting. In my free time, I usually just hang around, drive around Connecticut, go to shows with my friends. One of my favorite things to do is eat whenever I'm out with my friends. That's usually the first thing we do, especially when we can't think of anything else. Taco Bell is a biggie with us. Um, I'm pretty much famous for eating at work. I work at Stop and Shop, by the way. My boss always takes pictures of me eating. It's kind of funny. So for my favorite poem project, I'm going to do Dying is Fine But Death by E. E. Cummings. This is my favorite poem because I think it takes a new, fresh perspective on dying and living, and death and life in general. Dying is fine, but death by E. E. Cummings. Dying is fine, but death? Oh baby, I wouldn't like death if death were good, for when, instead of stopping to think, you begin to feel of it, dying is miraculous. Why? Because dying is perfectly natural. Perfectly putting it, mildly lively, but death is strictly scientific, and artificial, and evil, and legal. We thank thee, God Almighty, for dying. Forgive us, O life, the sin of death. That was my favorite poem, Dying is Fine But Death by E. E. Cummings. I first read it in my senior English class last year, and it was really powerful to me because the speaker of the poem views dying as a good thing. Dying is equal to living to him, where most people seem to think dying means that you're close to death. Because technically, right when we're born, we're dying from that moment on. The speaker refers to dying as lively, even. The word dying in this poem can be replaced with the word living, but it wouldn't give the same message that dying is a bad thing, which the speaker is trying to get across. It was really hard for me to get the flow of the poem at first because of the heavy use of enjambment by E. E. Cummings. He uses this in all of the poems I've read by him. I haven't read all of them, so I don't know if he always uses it. It makes the poems complex, and for this specific poem, I think it mirrors the complexity of dying. The structure of this poem is so appealing to me because of the enjambment, and also that it seems to never end because there's no end punctuation on the last line of the poem, and it could be read easily if you go from the last line right to the first line. It goes pretty smoothly, and the punctuation matches up. To me, this structure mirrors the immortality of dying because dying will always exist, which is the same thing as living. There's always going to be life, and it's never ending. That's why the poem is never ending. Also, the speaker personifies death by always capitalizing it. Death is always talked about in a negative tone that opposes dying, as if death is a person going against dying.